Remember, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Those are words probably very familiar to a lot of us, and yet these days, sadly, Guy Fawkes Day has become a way to mock and attempt to put right what was seen by the man himself as a great injustice. And when we look around the world right now at politics, it's very hard to see much more than a lot of privileged white people mismanaging the world's affairs. Now, I'm not advocating going out and blowing up Parliament. Guy Fawkes had the best of intentions, the worst of methods. What I am saying is this idea that all we can do is vote, and if the wrong person gets in, throw up our hands and say, fuck it, we're screwed. That is categorically false. There is a lot more power for the people than simply voting. All of you can join political parties and thus can vote who gets to even stand. All of you can petition congressmen, senators, and politicians at all levels. All of you can actively engage by actually being active, not passive. There are 4 things that are crippling Australian politics at the moment: arrogance, greed, ignorance, apathy. And you don't have to be affected by any of them. You can get out there, get involved, and make a difference. You can remind yourself that what is needed is people who actually know what the fuck is wrong. Not the rich, not the privileged, not the ones with Cayman Island bank accounts, with shares in the banks and the coal mines, with hotel chains, with, let's face it, investments in the military-industrial complex. But the people struggling to pay off mortgages, the people having to struggle with the NDIS, the people who aren't lucky enough to control whether or not their home is one of those that has fibre to the home from the node. Here in Australia, we're about to go to a state election in Victoria. And we have to choose between the Liberal National Coalition or Labor. Well, I'm not a member of any party. I want to make that clear at this point. But I do want to remind you that when you're going to vote, base that vote on the conduct of the politician as well as their policies. How ethical are they? How much have they actually shown they know how to make right decisions? How often have their decisions been based upon service to their party and their members and not to the people? How often have they done things that, if done by any of your friends, you'd be appalled by? And then look at the federal level at that party and see what they've done for the country. And in this case, the Liberal National Party, well, in the name of helping the future of this country, they've installed a coal mine and produced ads telling us that coal is part of a clean energy future. And yes, they had a referendum on LGBTQI plus marriage rights, but the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister voted against it, as just 2 examples of things that should be factored in. And I know those are federal, but all of those in Victoria, I'm sure, are well and truly versed in what Matthew Guy and Daniel Andrews have both done, and the relativistic merits or lack of for both people. The mistakes made by Daniel Andrews are numerous, likewise Matthew Guy. Internationally, I'm sure those in the UK have got many, many issues with Theresa May and her connections to the DUP. The US, do I even need to bring up Trump and Kanye? As far as Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-il, and many, many other world leaders, the situation is bleak and sometimes seems unremittingly so. My point is, no matter who you are, where you are, if you're in a first world nation, a country with relative freedom, then you have the ability to join a party, to get engaged, and to make a difference. I know the situation is not the same in a country like China, where freedom is window dressing and not so free after all. Probably the same in North Korea and Russia. And I know that there are countries in Africa where it is not going to be anywhere near as easy. But these are the things that the first world countries also should be working to fix and are ignoring. My point is, Gunpowder, Treason and Plot was not written to mock Guy Fawkes, to make us laugh at a man who wanted positive change, to actively improve his lot and the lot of the people he represented. Seeing no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Yes, you can take that to mean we should never forget terrorism and should make sure that we punish terrorists. And yes, those statements are both true. And vigilante justice should be always avoided. But Guy Fawkes was making sure, or attempting to, that those at the top did not get complacent, that corruption was fought in all forms, and that the needs of the few, the privileged, the 1%ers, did not supersede or outweigh all those on the ground. And I think right now, in 2018, it's a lesson we could well do with being reminded of.